distance, take a COVID test, quarantine. Why would I allow the government to inject me with something that was rushed through in just a few months and still doesn't change anything?
Meow! Shay of Prepologic did a video recently, and I take exception to the video. What the video basically is he did some data mining and found a prepper forum that did a very poorly designed quiz to assess whether preppers would take the vaccine or not. I find fault with it, and I'm going to go through the video and explain why I find fault with it, and also his very understanding of what's going on, and his viewers' understanding of what's going on is quite faulty. And it's a shame, because Shay actually made a whole bunch of very interesting and somewhat relevant videos on prepping for a pandemic a few years ago. So Shay read Adam's comment, and I would like to point out that it is all governments throughout the earth. It's not just a particular government you dislike. So all the governments looked at the new pandemic, and it's a new virus, SARS-CoV-2 is a new virus, and felt that they had to do extraordinary actions to protect the lives and welfare of their people and their economies. It also shows the fundamental error a lot of people are making, including people online, experts if you like, doctors, government people. If you've been vaccinated twice and 3 or 4 weeks has gone by and you are asymptomatic, you pretty much are not going to catch COVID. They're telling people to still wear masks because they're not sure of the efficiency and use of the vaccine, because it is brand new, not because it's been rushed. And that is actually why they're asking people to keep wearing masks. But of course, if I ever get vaccinated, I'm having troubles at work getting vaccinated. I want to be vaccinated, because it means that after the second vaccine, or the first if it's a single shot, after 3 to 4 weeks, I can actually go and see Kitty's parents and not think I might kill them.
95% plus survival rate versus brand new drug? Nope. I don't buy first model year anything. Till they get the bugs out, rushed vaccine from our government, and I love this, folks, single quotes, that is here to help. So much no.
So Billy shows an absolute unfortunate lack of understanding of mathematics. If it's 95%, you're talking about 1 in 20 people actually get symptomatic and can hospitalize and or die. That's a 1 in 20 chance of having a serious problem from being infected. Tens of millions of people have been vaccinated, and almost nobody has suffered an adverse reaction. There may be 1 or 2 out of the tens of millions, and they're still investigating it. But the odds of a problem from the vaccine compared to SARS-CoV-2 are infinitesimal and tiny. The main thing that really annoys me about this whole thing is that the vaccine is a prep for a pandemic. It's a preparatory method you can take easily to prevent yourself having an adverse effect of the SHTF caused by the virus. And yet all of these people out there are going, no virus, no vaccine, it's all been rushed. It hasn't been rushed. You actually can go online, you can look at all the processes, how they did it, how they accelerated trials, how they duplicated trials. Instead of waiting for phase 1, they went straight to phase 1 and phase 2. There's a whole bunch of evidence there. Yes, big pharma's evil. Yes, they are. But if they kill enough of their customers, they get sued and they lose their market share. They don't really want to do that. Billy's comment also shows another fundamental error a lot of preppers making. Governments had little to nothing to do in the West with actually manufacturing or creating the vaccines. Little to nothing.
There's a lot of mixed opinions about it, and I think you know what the answer is from the prepper community. I'll go over the poll results at the end of this.
Of course, in prepping, the government is not here to help and always make things worse. However, the government's fairly responsible. I'm fairly sure that most of the preppers that hate the government send their kids to public schools, use public roads, and use cash. But the bottom line is actually, yes, the vaccines have been developed by the governments to help. If you think otherwise, you're probably paranoid.
There's a lot of mixed opinions about it.
So Frank, you happy to be a guinea pig for SARS-CoV-2? I'm not.
And I think you know what the answer is from the prepper community. I'll go over the poll results at the end of this.
What Chris says is absolutely true. I actually would like to see Kitty's parents again in ways that mean I'm not going to possibly infect and kill them. I don't want to do that. I'm not sure why people out there think it's okay to do that. Herd immunity means killing potentially Kitty's parents. I don't think that's a good idea.
To show you from the other spectrum of things, the young lady here, I believe she was in the Army in the States.
Which government, darling? See my comments on Billy's.
She says, take the same number of people who have received the vaccine and give every one of them any medication, hell, give them all peanut butter and see how many adverse reactions or deaths there will be.
Couldn't figure out the name of that one, but I would like to say to Anonymous, that it is absolutely true. Anything interacts with the human body in ways that can be pleasant or unpleasant, and vasoactive or not vasoactive. And vaccines are no different from aspirin or anything else. The truth is, tens of millions have been vaccinated. There's almost nobody has died from this. Almost nobody has been incapacitated from this. The level of infections, the level of illness from vaccination is trivial. I work in a major teaching hospital in downtown Toronto. We haven't given that many vaccines because of Canadian incompetence and provincial incompetence in the vaccine rollout. But I can tell you, other than a few sore arms, nobody is particularly getting ill from the vaccine. And if anybody out there says, well, give it 10 years and see what happens, honestly, do some biochemistry education and learn about what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to say yay or nay on anything. I'm just reading some results.
Shay uses a video in its entirety here, and I'll let you watch it in its entirety, that's been debunked. The woman is not suffering seizures nor apraxis. She is not. She's got fine motor control of her hair at various points. There's no speech effect. She's able to hold herself upright despite pretending that she's doing this. It's a debunked movie. Now, why are women particularly out there making these movies about I've been vaccinated, I'm in a CNA, look at me, my life's ruined? Why are they doing that? Well, people aren't always mentally stable.
Which leads me to this young lady from Indiana who had an adverse reaction. Now, I don't want to fearmonger or I don't want to propose anything. This lady claims she took the vaccine and she's shaking uncontrollably, and this is in early January. She released a video on Facebook.
Dear. Yes, Facebook's out there trying to save people's lives. The heavily censored Facebook site allows people to get the truth out there and wake us all up to the dangers of the vaccine.
Hey everybody. First I want to introduce myself, and my name is Sean Skelton, and I'm very real. And unfortunately, this is also very real. I didn't know what else to do other than to just come on live and show everybody what my body is going through.
So the video he showed, she didn't have an adverse reaction to the vaccination. She really didn't. There's no studies of this. There's been no medical follow-up. There's been nothing. Her symptoms, I can assure you as a nurse, are not adverse reactions to any sort of a vaccine I've ever seen. The other thing is that she also looks like she's faking it to me, and I've seen a lot of crazy people fake symptoms over the years as a nurse. You do, especially in the ICU.
At all wakening hours of my day. Well, let's just say I don't know what's happening to my body, okay? It's a good question to me as it is for you, but I know that on Monday I was a very functioning person, zero medical issues. I work every day. I've been a CNA for 25 years, and I love my patients. I love my job. I got the COVID vaccine, the Moderna, on January the 4th. I didn't ask for this. And how do you just wake up one day and your whole world is wrong and it's upside down and no one helps you is beyond me. I can't make sense of it.
She mentions it's a debunked video, but he doesn't mention who's debunking it, who actually thinks it's incorrect. Is it doctors? Is it him? Is it some prepper in Alabama? Who debunked this video? Well, the truth is, almost everybody with any knowledge of vaccine reactions debunked it. The woman doesn't say what the vaccine was. The woman doesn't say that she went to get any help at all. She's a fit and well woman. She has the vaccine. A couple of days later, she's got uncontrollable muscle spasms like this, which aren't actually spasms. It's just jerky movements. She's faking it. But she doesn't go to the emergency doctor. She doesn't phone a family practice doctor. No, she makes a Facebook video and puts it on Facebook. And people like Shay then copy it and use it and send it out there because it backs up his internal bias that vaccines are bad and the whole pandemic thing isn't being handled right. So why did you use it, Shay? I know you don't watch other people's videos, but maybe you watch this one, who knows. Why did you use that? You know it's debunked. You know it's fake. So why use it?
Now, this lady you could really sort of sum these things down into a handful of conclusions. She's either crazy, she's in it for the money. There is a GoFundMe page, conveniently. She's in it for some sort of popularity, or maybe there was an adverse reaction.
So Shay gives some viewpoints on why she's doing this, and I think they're kind of interesting because it reflects his own bias again. I'll explain it. He says she's crazy. He says she's doing it for money. She says she's doing it for popularity, or she might perhaps have an adverse reaction. Hey Shay, I've got a fifth one for you. Perhaps she's an anti-vaxxer and she's faking it to get people to doubt the vaccine. Did you think of that?
To the vaccine, maybe there's an adverse reaction to something else that had nothing to do with the vaccine at all. I have no idea.
Now, in terms of having a Kickstarter, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. A lot of Americans will actually do have Kickstarters when they have medical issues, though she's sought no medical care whatsoever, of course. Just wants the cash to get it, I guess. But Emerge is free in the States, is it not? Anyway, bottom line here is that a lot of Americans use Kickstarter. It's a reflection of their system rather than the fact this is a scam. Maybe it's a scam, maybe it's not a scam. What it definitely was when you posted it is a fake. So why did you post it?
But it's a shame that we live in a society where it's difficult to not know what to believe or not believe. And I think one of the best statements here is from my buddy Brian. He says, I'm not anti-vaccines, but I am anti-rushing vaccines to market.
Brian, the rush for vaccines wasn't as rushed as you might be thinking. They didn't just get a few bits and pieces, shove it in a test tube and then start sticking it in people to see what would happen. The process is a lot more complicated than that. It's also transparent, as I mentioned before, and it was accelerated, not rushed. I myself am on record last year saying I was very concerned about rushed vaccination, and for good reason. This has not been rushed. It's been accelerated. There's a huge difference. And the vaccine is way safer than the disease.
And that statement in and of itself, which is largely fueled, I mean, we live in a system or world right now, which is, there's a huge amount of profit to be made from getting the vaccine out there. So you could at least appreciate how some corners could be cut because of those motivations. That's all I'm going to say. What I will say, with respect to preparedness, individuals in the States, well, the majority of them, is the message is very clear. And the question was, will you take the COVID vaccine? And the majority of them said, hell no.
So the very question's wrong. Rather than ask, would you take it? Yes, maybe, hell no, which is a clearly biased answer, by the way, if you think about it for 2 seconds. The question I would ask is, if you're a prepper, why on earth would you not take a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2, given the effects that we've seen since December of 2019? Why would you say, I'm not taking that vaccine? It's puzzling me. You have to be really, really, really convinced there is no actual illness and it's being faked across the entire planet, and that the hundreds of millions that have died in the States already are faked. And they're clearly not. Baseline death rates are way higher across the planet than official SARS-CoV deaths it kills. Yeah, 2/3 of them are elderly, 1/3 of them are not. Okay? 40, 30, 50, 20-year-olds died from it. Not as often as the 80-year-olds, but often enough to make this not just a bad flu. This is a genuine, killing, but minor pandemic. So in the results, only about 20% would actually take it or might take it, and that's really a terrible indictment of how much misinformation and bad science the prepping community has exposed itself to. Or perhaps people like Shay visit sites like that, and therefore you have a large number of people who don't understand basic biochemistry or vaccine research or disease processes on one site. Shay fully understands pandemics. He studied it for years. He understands what's going on. He has the same information that I have. I have probably more of a nursing insight into what pandemics are and a less of a prepper approach to it. But I'm puzzled. I'm really puzzled as to why he would put out information that's frankly wrong and rock a boat and try and prevent people from being vaccinated in a pandemic where clearly the disease is worse than the vaccine. What's in it for him? Is he doing it for clicks, for money? Is he genuinely so far down the crazy train at this point he actually believes the government's trying to kill him so they can implement Agenda 21? Not many months to go for that one, is there? So the prepper community is not the people on a forum that he's posing this question to. That's a subsect of preppers, right? So to claim that all preppers say hell no to vaccination is a fundamental error. That would be like me doing a poll on my site and saying, would you take the vaccine? No, maybe, hell yes. And then getting the results and saying, this is what preppers believe. It really isn't. Polls aren't the most useful. I think what it does show is that about 80% of people on this particular forum, and it appears to be Shay's own forum, he doesn't specify that, and he doesn't make any links to it in the description, so you can't cross-check and check the data, which is also an important thing you need to be able to do, because he just puts the numbers up, maybe he faked them. Pretty sure he didn't, but I don't know because I can't go to the source, I can't go to the original site. I have to rely on his interpretation. So I'm kind of wondering as to why that is hell no. What was wrong with no? Why add the hell in? You're biasing people. You're showing your own bias. Not a good thing. So you're claiming it's not fear-mongering. You're claiming you're staying balanced, and yet the poll question is completely biased. Not quite sure what your motivation was for making this. It's certainly not presenting fresh evidence. What it's doing is reinforcing your own biases and other people's biases in unhelpful ways. It's not a balanced article. There's one thing in there that says, I want to get the vaccine so I can see my family. That's it. That's the balance used in this video. Shay didn't reach out to me for my opinion on it. He could have said, hey, I'm doing a video on vaccination. Are you for or against it? If you're for it, I'd like you to send me a few bits and pieces on it. Hey, we live in the same province, we've met each other. But he didn't, because he didn't want the video to be anything other than what it is, which is unbalanced, fear-mongering, anti-vaxxer. That's it. That's what that video is. That's what you watched. That's it for me. It really does pain me to have to do this video, but honest to goodness, I'm getting very few anti-vax videos because of my unsubscribe liars who are trying to kill people policy, because that's what it boils down to in a pandemic. It isn't faked. It's underreported. It really is. I can tell you that for a fact. The number of deaths, the number of adverse reactions, the number of people being sick from the disease is underreported. The governments really want to open up the economy. They don't want to do lockdowns. They don't want to do all of these restrictions that are affecting the economy and upsetting their popularity so they won't get re-elected ever again. No, honestly, human nature. But why people are starting to ramble on about nanoparticles, Bill Gates, control, Agenda 21, all of this crazy stuff that may or may not have some basis in fact. I mean, so everything has a basis in fact, but has no basis in reality or fact to COVID-19. Anyway, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. But stay subscribed to me if you really hated this video. It's really important to open yourself, your head and your heart to other sources of information that go against the mainstream stuff that you're actually taking on board, whether it's anti-vax or pro-vax. Truth is, neither one is 100% true, but in a pandemic, to willfully not be vaccinated when tens of millions of people have been vaccinated with almost no reactions, and a million more have died, probably I argue more, it's kind of, you have to wonder what your motivation is. You're not prepping. You're living in a paranoid delusional state where you're hoping that you personally, your fitness, your age, means you don't have to shave your beard off because you don't need an N95 to fit perfectly over your mouth, because magical thinking, it's not really a disease, and if you get it, you'll just fight it off. I've seen a lot of people die over the last year at work. So's Kitty. Vast majority is 60s up. Vast majority of them was kind of sick. But over the last 3 months, we have seen an astounding number of people coming into my hospital and dying there, who are actually in the 30 to 50 year old age group, and I would say are pretty fit and well. Didn't have diabetes, weren't particularly fat. And I would like to appeal to people in the comments, keep it real, keep it respectful. If people are rude to you, be assured of the fact that I will delete the comment when I get to it. Don't reply in like. If people are not dumb for being anti-vaxxer, they're just misunderstanding reality. You can have a PhD, you can be an MD and be anti-vaxxer. Very few of them, but you can. You can look at the world from whatever angle you look at it, and you can see things the way they really are, and then you can find out information that proves that you were correct. That is why I am so outraged at this awful video Shay's put up, claiming it to be balanced and not fear-mongering, that's incredibly anti-vaxxer. That's all it is. You may as well be honest, Shay, and say, I'm an anti-vaxxer, I dislike vaccines, and so do most of the people who are on my prepper forum. Because that's the truth. It doesn't reflect prepping. I happen to know preppers out there who are actually pro-vaccination and can't wait to get it. I know preppers who've been vaccinated and they're not dead. Oh, and they're not going like this. Right? Toodles. This was a Biscuit Cat 2021 production.